Hi, everyone. It's Jen Waldron from Augusta Caregiver Recruiting. I'm a co-founder of the organization and the chief recruiter. So I spend a lot of time talking to caregivers every day. And today I have with me Jennifer Lagemann from NextJennCopy, who is an expert in marketing to the home care industry. And I'm super excited to have her here. And I'd love for you to share a little bit of who you are, your background, how you got into this.
Sure. Thanks, Jen. I really appreciate the opportunity. I got started in home care back when I was 12. I was taking care of my grandmother at the time, and I did that for about 7 years until I started my first year of college. And then she passed away, and I started working in private duty home care. I found that I really liked working with seniors and really wanted to continue doing that to kind of honor her memory and to keep me brushing up on my skills. So I worked my way up through home care offices, doing not only caregiving, but doing scheduling, operations, logistics. I've done everything except own a home care agency. And during the pandemic, I really ramped up on freelance marketing work. So basically now I serve as a fractional CMO to home care agencies across the country and internationally to establish their brand presence, brand awareness, positioning, and also thinking about marketing from both a client perspective, B2B perspective, and from a recruitment perspective. And that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I also got into this industry quite a while ago. And I feel like the people who have stuck with it always have that personal story associated with it, where it was something that really made a big impact in their life. So I appreciate that, and I empathize. My very first job in senior care was at a memory care community. I actually started as a housekeeper in the memory care community. That was back in 2009, and I quickly realized that I really loved working with the senior population and vulnerable populations in general. And so I asked my boss if I could become a caregiver, and they were like, obviously yes, because every home care, senior care in general is chronically understaffed, and so that's kind of how I got my start. And then from there, I worked my way up the sales ladder at an organization called On Course Learning, and then helped build Care Academy from about 30 customers, and now they have over 2,000 customers. And yeah, now starting Augusta. So that's awesome. I love that you're an industry insider with all of the perspectives of having been everything from a caregiver to scheduling and marketing, and that's amazing. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about one of the biggest problems in our industry, which is the caregiver shortage, and how we bring new people into this industry. So it's not an easy thing to do or to tackle, but there's definitely some strategies out there of how people are being successful, how home care agencies specifically are being successful doing this. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that and how things are going and what you think could help.
Wonderful. So I've seen a lot of job descriptions in the industry specifically target people with extensive experience or kind of imply that they're looking for people with a lot of experience. And I think that we're really doing ourselves a disservice because we're really limiting our applicant pool. People will read your job descriptions. How much of it, I couldn't tell you, but if you are trying to, exclude a lot of people, I think you're really kind of shooting yourself in the foot when it comes to caregiver recruitment, because there are a wide variety of backgrounds that have transferable skills that are really great within home care. Like even outside of actual jobs, moms are really great caregivers. Thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the diaper changing,
Absolutely.
the time management, getting them to appointments, making sure that you're monitoring their symptoms all the time. Like, how those mom instincts kind of kick in when something's wrong, or you have a feeling about something. Like there's a lot of skills that moms have that are particularly helpful when it comes to caregiving. I mean, Same thing with dads. I've seen this a lot with retail, restaurant workers, hostesses, waitresses. There are so many different skills that can be transferred from other jobs and other industries. And in healthcare, we're seeing a lot of people exit, unfortunately. So we need to really think big and also look at these other industries and what they're doing. Like I saw in Home Healthcare News, there was an article that came out that I think some executives at a home-based care company followed the McDonald's hiring process and also inquired about their training process and saw how quickly they were able to get crew members hired and onboarded. And I was a part of an LTQA webinar, and they were talking about a caregiver who had worked at Burger King, and they had a 90 or 45 or 90-minute training on how to make French fries. That made me think about how little we're training caregivers before, or training and equipping them before we send them out to a shift or before sending them out to a new client. Like if we can think broadly about our recruiting strategy, I think we can go really far when it comes to getting new people in the industry. Because if we can prove from someone who's never worked in healthcare before, and they become a great caregiver, wouldn't that be a really great case study or example of being able to train somebody? Because you can train them in any field. Anybody can be trained to work in any field. It's a matter of how good can we do that? How well can we do that? Do we have the resources to do that? And what would we need in order to execute that? I feel like even from the job description level, we can really increase how many applicants we get based on the verbiage alone.
I couldn't agree more. There is such a huge, I mean, it's a massive opportunity that I feel sometimes some home care agency operators don't always see and don't always feel that they need to put in the time and energy into, because it is time and energy that has to go into creating that 90-minute French fry training, like that. There's definitely effort there for sure, but I think it's a huge opportunity that a lot of people are missing out on. I mean, there's 53 million family caregivers out there in the US today who are informal, unpaid caregivers. And I actually talked to one of those people recently who she told me that her she was the primary caregiver to her mom who had a type of brain cancer, and did all of her personal care and everything that you would associate with a non-medical caregiver, every aspect of it. She did all of that for her mom while she was going through treatment, and sadly passed away after 3 years of doing that. But when I first interviewed this caregiver, she said, "Oh, well, I don't have any experience as a caregiver." And I mean, I was, once we got into it, I mean, clearly, like, this is somebody who's got a perfect background for this. There's a lot of people out there like that, but they're not in a lot of states. Obviously, that's not only training, but there's also requirements around registry or a certain level of training to become certified and things like that. And I think it aligns with exactly what you were saying about how it's important at this stage with the level of the shortage that we've come to today, for home care agencies to start investing more in that. We have some really great customers who are being super successful, who are going through in California specifically, going through the home care aid registry process with the caregiver when they're in the office. They're not sending it home with them because it's kind of complicated in those states where you have to be registered to certify. So taking down those types of barriers and widening the aperture, as you said, I think are awesome techniques and tools that people can use to bring more folks into the industry.
Absolutely. There's so much potential out there, and we just need to be able to, tell people, hey, we see you, we see the roles that you've had, and even trying to call those out. Like one of the agencies I've worked with wanted to run a campaign for people who were specifically not from the healthcare industry, or people who were of the early retiree population who might be unemployed, underemployed, and really trying to help them secure a nest egg for retirement. And I just thought that was a really robust campaign. And in doing that, I called out a lot of the jobs that caregivers held previously, including fashion design, driving for Uber or Lyft, or it could be driving a taxi. It could be that you were working in security before. People come from a really wide variety of backgrounds who make great caregivers. I saw a case study of someone who worked for an airline becoming a caregiver, and having a lot of stuff to talk about because of their experience. So really leaning on other professional experiences kind of lends itself to a lot of client conversation. Just think about it, if you've only been a caregiver, what could your conversation with a client look like? Oh yeah, I take care of another person, I take care of another person. But if you come from a different background, like, oh, I used to be a bus driver, what was that like? Hearing all the hustle and bustle of taking people to and from school. Like having an exterior background outside of healthcare, I think really lends itself to really robust client conversations. And being able to relate to them, like learn what they did when they were in their working years, were they in the military? Because that can open up a whole avenue of conversations to go down, or what was their academic background.
Yeah, I think bringing people over from other industries is just a key strategy for sure. And I think you're exactly right that it enhances the value of the conversation for a client, or especially people who have any sort of customer service background and are kind of already in that mindset of wanting to communicate and wanting to really serve and have that desire to help and meet people's needs. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about giving caregivers the benefits that they actually need and want.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I understand that offering health benefits can be quite costly and expensive. And, for smaller agencies, it's a lot harder. But the thing is that benefits can help you retain your caregivers. Think about how much you're spending in terms of your caregiver turnover costs, and weigh that against the value of offering health insurance. And think about it that way, or think of it as an investment rather than a cost. I think that reframing is helpful for a lot of different things that come from caregiver benefits. And this could also extend to a lot of things. Like, could you network within your community to offer discounts? Is there a local car shop that you could connect with to offer, maybe a small discount after meeting with the owner, or discovering that you're a small business in the area, and trying to find opportunities like that to offer your caregivers some form of benefits. Like, think about when your caregivers have to call out because of a car issue. What if you had, that right-hand man in the back of your pocket, just like, oh, I know the number for you to call, and they'll give you a discount on top of it. That way they don't have to call out of a shift, they're getting a discount, and you're able to help save the day. Like, think outside of the box when it comes to caregiver benefits. Like, what can you really offer your caregivers that can help them with their workday? Because I feel like a lot of the stress and burnout came from not having the space to grieve. When I was working in the industry, like, there was no bereavement support when a client passed away. You were just booked on a new client and you meet them. You don't even have the space or the time to think about and reflect on your client experiences after they passed away. You don't associate with the family. You often don't go to the funeral. And you're left kind of in shambles. Like, think about people who have cared for a client for several years and they, decline quickly. This is a lot of emotion and mental anguish that caregivers have to just push down and move on with. And that can be a toll taken on their current work with their new clients or existing clients who are still with them. We have no space to grieve. And I think that it's important to think about what resources you can offer your caregivers to really help them move on, whether that's giving them a lead caregiver or a caregiver mentor, making your office available, making your staff available to answer those types of calls. Like, for your after hours, think about offering maybe 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. one night a week to kind of have office support hours. not scheduling, not call offs. This is time for you to talk to your supervisor or someone in the office about specific client concerns that are affecting you outside of work. Like, hey, this client has been particularly mean to me, and it's taking a toll on my mental health. Use that time to really reflect on things and be honest, and offer those types of support to your caregivers. It will mean so much to them. It doesn't even cost you any extra. That is a benefit that people would actually utilize. And think about your caregiver referral programs. I know a lot of agencies that offer these, and oftentimes owners are like, one person's used it, nobody's used it. I'm offering $1,500. Nobody is bringing in new staff for me. Why is that? And it's often because of things that are within your control. I don't mean that we can control the labor market or the economy, but when you offer, let's say $10 an hour, what friend of a friend is going to work with them for $10 an hour and limited benefits? Like, if I'm going to refer a family member or friend to a job, one of the first things they're going to ask is, how much am I going to make? Not that that means that they're about money, but it's simply, can I afford to live on this job? And a lot of it has to do with shame. Oh yeah, so that does mean I'm making $10 an hour with no benefits and no PTO or until after a year, or no paid holidays, no mileage. Like, when you have a lot to offer, of course you're going to share it with all of your friends. Or think about if somebody doesn't have as many hours as they're looking for. What good is referring a friend to work with them going to do? Take even more hours from their schedule. There's so many different things to consider when it comes to caregiver benefits, but when you think about your caregiver referral program, make sure that you have a set of compensation ranges and a set of benefits that's worth referring someone for. And to offer an immediate incentive. I'm not saying it has to be a lot, but offer something that's instantly gratifying, and then maybe something after 30 or 90 days, whatever that might look like for you, but spread out the benefits so that there's something immediate. Like, yes, I am rewarding you because that person started and we hired them. And then here's your after benefit after 90 days. But really think holistically about the benefits that you're offering, and are they actually helping your caregivers? If they aren't using these benefits, ask them why, or before rolling them out, do a beta test. Would you offer this benefit? Or ask your caregivers even beforehand, what types of benefits do you want? What can I offer you to help improve your work, help to alleviate stress outside of work? What can we offer you that you would want to use? Just ask them. They'll give you an answer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. It also makes me think about, I mean, it's a common, I suppose common sense that, but often overlooked, I think, is that people might not be referring your jobs to their friends because they may be thinking about leaving, that it's not necessarily meeting their basic needs in terms of compensation or benefits. One of the things that made me think about is actually a tip that I picked up from Lisa Gear at Gear Consulting. She's an HR home care expert. And I'm surprised that I haven't heard more people doing this yet, but she recommended switching the way that home care agencies schedule from letting the client choose their dates and times to flipping the script on that and letting the client know when you do an intake. I have the perfect caregiver for you. They're a match for X, Y, and Z reasons. They've had, dementia training or diabetes training or whatever it is that matches the client need, and saying they're available Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 2 to 5. Let's try that out. Because kind of going back to making sure that you're meeting those basic needs for compensation, making sure that they can actually live without having to go get 4 different jobs is, rethinking the way that we're organizing caregiver schedules. Because right now it's always like that everybody's hair is on fire trying to find that, caregiver to fill in that time that the client needs, when maybe we could start looking at the caregiver schedule and fit the clients in. So I think that's another kind of creative way to think about that approach, because ultimately at the end of the day, the caregiver, they want a full-time job. They want to be able to have 40 hours a week or something along those lines where they can make their ends meet. And it's obvious, right? It makes sense. So that's just one other solution. But yeah, all of those out of the box ideas for benefits are awesome. I couldn't agree more about the bereavement benefit. I mean, that's one of those like inflection points in the life cycle of being a caregiver where a lot of people leave. I haven't seen data measuring that on how many people leave when their client passes away, leave the industry altogether. But that was my experience. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I wanted to find another way to stay in the senior care industry. I had a client that I loved who passed away, and I was very emotional. It was the first time that happened to me, and really made me think about like this industry and how it works and what we're all doing here. So yeah, I really appreciate all of those ideas. They totally resonate with me.
Something I've noticed is that a lot of caregivers will only want to work with one client, and then
Yeah.
one client only. They won't fill in shifts. They won't do other shifts. They won't learn how to work with other clients. They only want to work with one person. And then when that person dies, they're gone. I've seen this with a lot of caregivers. So we really need to think about how can we offer bereavement support? And that has to start before the client dies. When they're on hospice, even, could be a really great time to start a grieving / bereavement, anticipatory grief support type program. That way you can help them prepare for what's going to happen, educate them on the process, how they can support the family as well. Because if they, their family member visits and you're crying in the corner in the bathroom, you need to also be available to support them too. It's like home care is supposed to be for the family, for the whole family, client included, of course. But that includes the family, that includes the pets. It's a holistic system. Like I've talked with a bunch of hospices and they have pet rehoming programs. They talk to the client and ask them, where do you want your pet to go? And they will rehome their pets. How much reassurance is that to somebody who may have had their pet for a really long time, to know, yeah, they are going to take care of my pet if I am supposed to pass away before my pet. That gives them so much peace of mind and reassurance. It might give them the peace of mind to be able to let go and go. Like super small things like that could be really important to your clients and caregivers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what it means to give white glove customer service to your applicants, to your employees, because caregivers, as we all know, are the lifeblood of our business. I mean, nobody would be doing home care without caregivers. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. What does white glove service for applicants and caregivers mean?
Sure. I'm seeing statistics everywhere and noticing this pattern that a lot of caregivers aren't hearing back from people for at least 10 business days. That is way too long. People have probably found multiple job offers in between that time frame. And if you can't even get a text back or an email reply to your application, that's sad. You should be replying to people as soon as they apply. You get a notification on your email, don't lie. We know we all have our work emails plugged into our personal phones. Let's really be honest here.
Yep.
Like even when you have a work phone, the notifications are on, and the least you can do it, even if you're not actually looking at their application at the moment, at least say, thank you, I received it, and I look forward to reviewing your application, and then mark it unread so you can review it again. But at the very least, give them a reply, even if it's automated. Don't put at the end of it, this is an automated message. You can control the copy that comes up there. But like, send them a message but also try to make it somewhat customized. Like, hey, I'm the owner of blah, blah, blah agency. I saw that you have experience in this industry, or, oh, I saw that you went to this school. I went there too. Try and make it somewhat customized so that it sounds like you're really trying to develop a rapport, develop trust, and that you actually looked at their application. That will mean something, because sometimes people don't read the applications and they get rejected or automatically get rejected. And, if you can nurture these people, they will probably come back to you at some point in time when they are in need of work. I see a lot of layoffs on LinkedIn all the time. People are always looking for work, and no position is truly safe, not even CEOs. And you might never know what position they end up in.
Yeah.
Truly white glove customer service to me really means that you treat everyone that interacts with your agency as a customer. Your applicants are customers, your current caregivers are customers, your clients are customers, your client family members are customers, your referral people are also customers. So we really need to think about every interaction we have in a professional, I'd say professional view is a business opportunity. When you're wearing your agency's apparel at the store, that is a business opportunity. Every person that you run into is a potential business opportunity. There are many business owners out there. There are a lot of family members out there. There are a lot of clients out there who you just don't know yet. And to be able to provide that service, even outside of your office, is something I consider superior. Like when I was answering the phones at a home care agency, someone would call wanting to get their phone fixed for AT&T, and I would give them the AT&T customer service number. You never know. Like a lot of people were like, why would you do that? That's a waste of time. Just hang up the phone. If someone calls from an area code that's in my area, that's a potential client or a potential family member or a potential referral. Treat every phone call and every person you meet as an opportunity to expand your business and to extend your influence and your reach. So really think about the applicant experience as a whole. When you see teenage girls coming off of a school bus, when you see, people at Starbucks, those are people who could potentially be your caregivers. So when you're, giving snide looks at people for whatever reason or out on the street, these are potential applicants that you're running into. So remember to treat everybody that you interact with as a potential business opportunity and treat it with the gravitas that it deserves. And to treat people the way that you would want to be treated as well, or the way that they would want to be treated, even better.
From being in the business that I am now, talking to caregivers all the time and interviewing them for potential positions with home care agencies, I can understand why home care agency owners who have been doing this for a long time feel a little bit jaded, maybe, and don't always provide that level of that white glove service in terms of treating everybody like that they could help you. Because there's a lot of people out there who they fill out their application and they're great, they look great on paper, and you reach out to them and you never hear back, or they show up to their first their orientation, but then they don't show up their first shift or something like that, so I empathize with the with what agency owners deal with on a daily basis, but I think you're 100% right. It's that attitude towards caregivers. I think either way, the positive or the negative way that you take it is going to amplify itself over time, so treating everybody with that respect of, even if today is not the day for you to become an employee of my agency, it might be tomorrow, or it might be next year. So I think that having that positive attitude is incredibly important, and it really resonates. It's, I read somewhere that and I can't remember where it was now, but that part of the great quit or the great renegotiation that's going on in the US economy today, with so many people leaving all their whatever industry they're in and leaving the workforce altogether, that a big part of that is contagious. They hear other people quitting, and so they're like, oh, should I quit too? And so I think it works the other way as well. If you put that good out into the world and treat everybody the way that they want to be treated, then that has that contagious effect too. If you will it into the world. Well, did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to leave our audience with today, Jennifer?
Sure. And something I wanted to call out really quickly is that to really put all applicants on the same playing field. Like, don't just be like, oh my God, this person's a CNA, I need to have them. Something that, really came to mind was when I was in CNA school, you don't learn anything else other than the practical clinical work. I didn't learn how to interact with someone in their own home setting. You don't learn how to meal prep. You don't learn how to transfer people with a Hoyer lift. You don't learn how to use a dishwasher. You don't learn how to use other home supplies of the like. And so I encourage people to really put all applicants on the same playing field. Because I know a lot of people I've worked with in the past are like, we're really trying to target CNAs. I'm not saying that that's bad, but really think about the home ec skills as well, because CNA classes are really geared toward long-term care settings where you work exclusively as a CNA, not doing other tasks like the light housekeeping and companionship aspect. There's often no time in long-term care settings to interact with your residents and your patients. There's no time to get to know them. You're just doing the task and you're getting out. You simply don't have the time, and you're often on restrictions to reply to a call light in a certain amount of time. And so you really don't get the time to develop rapport and develop relationships with your clients. So you don't have to deal with the awkward, I just met my client, what do I talk about for the next 4 hours aspect. It's a nuance when you work in home care. So I encourage you to really think about all applicants using that same lens, because when you put on the rose-colored glasses of only looking for a certain applicant, you will ignore a lot of great applicants in the interim.
Yeah, I think I started with, I'm pretty sure it was 13 residents when I was in the memory care community. And I mean, it was just one thing after another, like task after task, exactly what you said. And not really the opportunity to build that relationship that you get much more of in home care. So it's a great point. Well, Jennifer, it was just a pleasure to speak with you. You're so knowledgeable, and I love hearing your thoughts and all of your experience. And if you haven't already, you should get in touch with Jennifer, NextJennCopy, to talk with her more about how she can help you with some of these things that we were talking about today. So, and don't forget to check out Augusta.care if you are looking to tap into a new pool of caregivers to apply to your jobs. So thank you so much, Jennifer.
Thank you.